All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast, where we are in the middle of a series. If you want to go back into the series, going over our hard to kill programming methodology, so far we've covered the entire strength continuum. I started the endurance continuum. We hit aerobic endurance. Today it's muscular endurance. And I'm going to get right to it. I want to tell you exactly how to improve your muscular endurance and why it matters. So for the first part of this episode, I will talk a little bit about just muscular endurance, in general terms, but that's something you can Google, right? I just want to help you understand it if you're listening to this episode, but ultimately what I want to end with, or the back half of the episode, even though these are short episodes, is I want you to understand exactly how I've seen progress with improving muscular endurance for athletes. Because it's something that I have spent a lot of time on, because I trained so many people in the military and have trained so many people with military backgrounds, and something that they predominantly need is muscular endurance improvement. And a lot of this has to do with their improvement on their PT test across all branches. There's a ton of muscular endurance that is tested. And so that is something I've spent a lot of time on, and I've helped, and I have a very practical solution down to exactly how you can do this that I'm going to end this episode with. But let's just talk muscular endurance, big picture. So like I said, endurance, we covered the strength continuum, and now we're the endurance continuum. Last episode, I talked about aerobic endurance and how you can train that, gave you a lot of practical application for zone 2 training and how you should do that. Now, moving down to the continuum, next up is muscular endurance, right? And with muscular endurance, it's pretty easy. It's pretty simple to understand, right? So muscular endurance is just, it's the ability to sustain low to moderate loads for higher reps and longer durations. That's it. If you're able to do more reps with less fatigue in the same set, you are improving your muscular endurance. And I really like to think about muscular endurance predominantly in more body weight style. That's how I think about it. Because next we'll hit strength endurance and power endurance, and that's where we start getting a lot more implements involved with kettlebells, barbells, those kind of things. And so when you break it out, how we break it out for the hard to kill programming methodology, you get way more targeted with your goal. So we're predominantly, when I'm talking about muscular endurance, there is some overlap into strength endurance and things that can happen with the barbell and kettlebell, but I am talking about specifically, a lot more body weight based, being able to do lots and lots of push-ups, lots and sit-ups, air squats, those kind of things without, accumulating so much fatigue that you're unable to continue on. The whole purpose of the training is local muscular fatigue resistance. It teaches your muscles to handle repeated contractions without the early fatigue. That's why we train it. It's super functional for everyday life. I mean, if you think about it, if you can repeat it, anything that's repeated, like lifting, carrying, pushing, pulling, anything, yard work, those kind of things, it's going to involve muscular endurance. And it's another foundation, a lot like aerobic and strength. It's a big foundation for higher load training. So before jumping into heavy strength work, ensuring that smaller stabilizers and connective tissues can handle the volume is very important. Also, if you have kids, I think that training muscular endurance through calisthenics, bodyweight training is the base. It's where you should start. A lot of dudes, a lot of dads I see out there, they want to start with a barbell. I couldn't disagree more. You got to start with a broomstick and bodyweight. Those are the two B's that you should be hitting, not the barbell. So ultimately, muscular endurance is incredibly practical, just like the daily utility of it. Climbing stairs, carrying groceries, doing repetitive manual labor without getting smoked, all of those things, super important. And it is very easy to implement with push-ups, squats, lunges. I mean, there's never a reason that you can't work out, right? If you master how to program muscular endurance, you can't be there's no gym here. It's you are in a hotel room and you have a floor. Okay, cool. You got a floor that you can stand on. That's 100% of the time you have a floor that you can stand on. You can do some push-ups, some sit-ups, some squats, so on and so forth. And it's really, really super important to laying this base. But let's get into the actual how to program it, because this is what I wanted to talk about. And this is a big goal of the series overall. I hope everyone understands that. It's not just teaching you, oh, this is what muscular endurance is. I go over that in the first half of the episode because I want you to understand it, at least at a base definition, what it is. But every episode so far in the series, I'm telling you how to do it. In the strength, I'm telling you sets, reps, percentages of what you should be tackling, how to move through it, how to execute it. And I did the same thing in aerobic endurance. I'm going to do the same thing in every episode. Now we get to muscular endurance. Let's talk about exactly how you can do this, because to be honest, when I set out on this path years and years ago, it's like, how do I improve somebody's push-ups? It's like, oh, do more push-ups. I'm like, that's not good enough for me. It's not a program. Like, it doesn't, like, how do I just do push-ups today and then more push-ups tomorrow? It doesn't make sense. So here's the deal. I created a program called the One Man System, and a lot of our athletes have used it. I'm going to break down basically the programming methodology that we have found, because in 3 and 4 week waves with the One Man System, I've been able to add so many push-ups to how many total push-ups somebody can do. Max push-ups, max sit-ups, max pull-ups, max air squats. So many in very short periods of time. I'm talking like 3 to 4 weeks. And then if you compound, you do 8 weeks, 16 weeks, whatever, you'll just be an animal at this stuff. Like, it will not be difficult for you to do, 50, 60, 70 push-ups in a minute. These are the kind of results that we have seen over and over again following this method. So here's how you do it. I'm just going to break down the exact programming methodology of this program, and you could implement it right away. So look, a lot of the military has timed PT tests. So how many push-ups can you do in a minute or 2 minutes or whatever? Depends on the branch of the service. But how I broke it down was 1 minute, because it's pretty standard for most people. They can actually put that out for a full minute. So if you wanted to do this program or try to increase your muscular endurance following our methodology, what you're going to do is you're going to test yourself. You can do this today. You do 1 minute of maximum push-ups. How many push-ups can you do in 1 minute? Then you're going to do how many pull-ups can you do in 1 minute? How many sit-ups can you do in 1 minute? And how many air squats can you do in 1 minute? And you're going to test. You're going to write down your baselines, okay? So you got a baseline for all 4 of these exercises, because those, and you can pick different exercises if you want, but those are just 4 very core base movements, right? So a minute of each one of those. Now breaking it down into further, it's like, okay, what do I do from there? You're going to do 3 different things. You're going to do control work, volume work, and dynamic work. And I'm going to go over this quickly, okay? So control is going to be 20% of your 1 rep max, of your 60-second max. So bad habit there. Ultimately, example, if you could do 50 push-ups in 1 minute, 20% of that would be 10, okay? So 10. And you're going to do this in the control fashion. What do I mean by control? I mean slow and controlled. Slow on the way down, slow on the way up for 10 repetitions. Control. Then you're going to go to volume. So volume, you're going to do 50%. So sticking with my example, if I could do 50 push-ups in a minute, I'm going to do 25. I'm just going to crank out 25 push-ups, okay? That's the volume. And then we get to dynamic, where you're only going to do 15%. So if, again, you did 50 push-ups in a minute, 15% of that rep range would be 8 total reps. And dynamic would be clapping push-ups or plate push-ups, where you push yourself up and you land your hands on a plate that are a couple inches off the ground. This would involve you putting like a 45-pound plate on your left side of your hand and the right side of your hand, and like jumping up to that. So exploding up, jumping up to the plate push-ups. And that's what you're going to do. That's the programming. And what you do is you do that for every single thing. So you do push-up control, sit-up control, pull-up control, squat control, all the same. 20% of your 1 minute max. And then you're going to go through volume. Push-ups, 50%, sit-ups, 50%, pull-ups, 50%, squats, 50%. And then you're going to do dynamic. So push-ups, 15%, sit-up, 15%, pull-ups, 15%, squats, 15%. And that's exactly how you're going to run through this. You can start with running through all of that. So it's all of that one time, then you can go through all of it 2 times, 3 times. Like, when I do this, it typically takes me about 10 minutes to do push-up, sit-up, pull-up, squat, push-up, sit-up, pull-up, squat, push-up, sit-up, pull-up, squat for all the controls, all the volumes, all the dynamics. It takes me about 10 minutes to go through all of that. And so 10 minutes is not the full workout. So you can go through that 2, 3, 4, no more than probably 5 times that I would go through that. So that's ultimately how you're going to work through that. That is the program. That is the best way I've ever seen muscular endurance programmed. And I'm not just saying that because I programmed it. I've just never seen anybody try to make this into a formula. All these like body weight programs out there and people trying to improve muscular endurance, it's just so all over the place. They're like, they're trying to train so many different things, but it's like the goal, I'm not trying to do the human flag, right? Like that's different. That's gymnastics training. There's a lot of isometrics. We're not training isometrics over here. That's a different part of the program. What we're training specifically is just muscular endurance, not isometric contractions. We do take that into account. That's later. It's later in the programming series. So anyway, if you want to just be a beast at muscular endurance, do exactly what I said. Re-listen to this episode. I explained the whole programming methodology, but like I have seen phenomenal results. And I'm talking about hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of military athletes I've programmed for, and people who were directly under me who I helped improve on these PT tests. They improved drastically and quickly following this methodology. That way, that's like when I want to improve muscular endurance, this is exactly what I do because I think it is the most powerful way to improve muscular endurance in a short amount of time. And it's also super important. I did a podcast months ago where I talked about the improvement my kids saw following this kind of program, and it was insanity the amount that they saw over the course of a summer. So if you really want to improve your muscular endurance, go through this methodology, or hey, there's another option. Go to garagegymathlete.com, sign up for a free trial, and you can just experience how we program all of these things and let us do the work for you. For all of our athletes already doing that, we appreciate you so much. But that's it for this one. Remember, if you don't kill comfort, comfort will kill you.